When you're mature enough to have a salesperson. I wasn't paying myself at the time. I hadn't paid myself. I didn't pay myself for 18 months in the business, and we had 4 staff which were being paid more than me. And quickly learned. So I hired a salesperson. It didn't work out because we didn't really have a good product. That were compelling enough product in the market at the time. We put a lot of unrealistic pressure on the salesperson, particularly, and there's a bit of like, you sit next to the guy, you're like grinding away, just trying to survive, and this guy's getting paid a base and, sit back, just making a few phone calls, not really generating leads, not generating any revenue, which was the issue in the end. We were just not mature enough. So yeah, that didn't work. So like, well, shit, sales didn't work. And I realized that, there needs to be someone in the business that drives sales and marketing, and I just put my hand up, like, well, who else is going to be? My business partner, Rowan. We just had a discussion, like, I guess it will have to be me. So, and so I went down this rabbit hole of like learning what is marketing, how to do marketing, what about selling and all this sort of stuff. And I think the connotations around selling are usually negative. It's like, hey, the door-to-door salesman and blah, blah. I read a really great book, To Sell is Human. An awesome book, and basically just changed my perspective of what selling is. Got into marketing, and Seth Godin is like a legend. Went to that rabbit hole, and then did his alt MBA, Seth Godin, everything he's like Yoda of marketing, like he's legit. Where I think it's just like, he's like Gary Vee, and these kind of like, I'm gonna say shallow, they're obviously experts in their own domain, but kind of like blanket statements where like Seth is just wisdom, it's just like truths and wisdom and story. And learned through failing was that accounting services, or what we do, is super high trust. It's, accountants are regarded as like the doctor's business, right? It's like, hey, I've got a problem. Any problem, whether it's like I've got no money, or going through a business breakup, or even a divorce with my wife, like, who you speak to? You speak with your financial guidance counsel. Usually it's your accountant, your small business accountant. And so what I realized, accountants are held in the highest regard. And mate, you don't find accountants on Google. You don't go, I need an accountant. You don't search for accountants on Google. You always ask your business community, your peers, like, hey, here's my chance, a good accountant. And I've fallen into this trap a few times where, we actually lost a client because of this sort of thing. You were as a startup, kind of real estate agency, consultancy business, and, they had no money. They asked the parents to chip in some cash, like $200K of life savings. And then I was like, and they just started burning tens of thousands of dollars in Facebook ads, and engage a content agency, and they were like burning dollars. I'm like, dude, you should be profitable from day one. You're a consultancy. There's no R&D. Like, it's like, God. But then, 18 months later, like, bam, they just found it, and the thing worked, and now they're crushing it. And, it was all attributed to the work that they did early on. And so I think that, if this is, again, hard with our profession sometimes, because if you're too into the weeds, if you're too into the detail, the books, you get caught up in that world where you're not piecing the story together until you kind of step back in that context. I think that's a really important thing about numbers, is that you can kind of present any story you want with data. Like, you really need to add narrative to the information.